Welcome to Alternate Ending, where we're discovering good movies one bad movie at a time. I am your host, Tim Brayton. It is the end of March 2026, which means that, as we often do at the end of the month, we are going to do a preview of the movies to come in the North American film market in April of 2026. So we have a movie preview for you all. I am joined this week for our movie preview by Andrew Milne, who is not from North America, but will still hopefully have some ideas about these films. Anyways, how are you doing today, Andrew?
I'm doing good, thanks, Tim. Yeah, just feeling good, getting ship shape. I'm getting ready for a trip next month. So, yeah, I've just been taking movies where I can at the moment. But yeah, I'm looking forward to a few pieces in April and a few recent releases that I'm eager to talk about as well. So
A-
glad to be here.
Excellent. Yeah, and if you don't mind sharing your news a little bit, what is the nature of this trip? Because I heard sort of innuendo from Brennan that you were going to be in a tent, and I'm curious what exactly
Okay,
that
so
means.
yeah, so I dropped a line to the group chat a few days ago to the effect that I'm not going to be around on these recordings until probably about mid-June. So this will be the last time you hear my voice for a while. The reason being, I'm going on the run from the law. No, no, that's not true. Uh, I am taking a trip through Scotland. I'm doing what's called the Scottish National Trail. So this is a through hike that runs from the southeast corner of my home country up to the northwest over about 500 plus miles of countryside. And it's something I've been wanting to do for a lot of years, and my current break in employment, if we'll call it that euphemistically, seemed like a good time just to sort of pull the trigger and do it. So I'll be, just to plug this, I suppose, we'll do this now. I'll be posting photos from that on the Discord server periodically while I'm in transit. So we need to plug the Discord server every so often, so
Absolutely.
that's an additional incentive for anyone who wants to join in.
Yeah, no. If you're still waiting for your excuse to join the Discord, this sounds like as good a reason as any. That sounds very exciting. I have always daydreamed about being the kind of person who can do that sort of thing, and I have never actually had the guts, shall we say, to be the person who actually does it.
It's it's one of these things. Yeah, you have to really want it. But it's rewarding if you do.
Sounds excellent. Well, I look forward to hearing more about that, and yeah, hopefully in June you will hop in and share your thoughts post that. Maybe we can do an episode about movies about backcountry hiking or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm sure there are some good ones. They're not leaping to mind other than like what Wild, the Cheryl Strayed film from like 2013,
There's
which was like perfectly
Yeah,
middlebrow.
not terribly good. And then the other one that leaps to my mind is Into the Wild by Sean Penn, which
Oh
which
yeah.
I greatly dislike, but I know some people admire it, so I don't want to go on too much of a
Oh yeah,
tangent.
like it really sort of depends on where you come down on this for
I
McCandless
think that's a
and
big,
whether or not he was a
and
moron.
and also Sean Penn and whether or not he is a moron. But who
Yes,
can?
that too.
We're not going to go down that rabbit hole. But yes, as you mentioned, we do have some movies to discuss. We've both seen movies lately, so this is our movie roundtable that we do every episode, where we discuss the films that we've seen recently that we wanted to bring to your attention. So, Andrew, what do you have for us today?
So wildly uncharacteristically, I am actually bringing a new release to the table for once. So just about an hour before we started recording, I got back from the cinema where I saw Project Hail Mary, the new feature from Phil Lord and Chris Miller, starring Ryan Gosling and Sandra Huller. Huller, I'm never sure.
Fuller, I think. I'm
Um,
not great on German.
Huller, yeah, and this is adapted from the best-selling novel by Andy Weir from a couple of years ago, which I listened to as an audiobook when it was new. So I was sort of doing the sort of compare and contrast routine in my head when it was playing. The gist of the story is there is a kind of sun-eating bacteria that has infected our local star and also all of the other stars in our immediate vicinity in
I
the
I
galaxy.
need to pause you for a second. I had no idea that was the scenario, and that's like the most excited I've been about this movie. Sun-eating bacteria is an amazing phrase. Okay,
Oh yeah,
go ahead.
it even has a great name. It's called the astrophage,
That's
which is
amazing. Why isn't it
yeah. So
titled
it's
Astrophage? I would watch that
I
movie a
know,
thousand
I know.
times.
I think they've kind of undersold the unique selling point
Okay.
in the marketing. So the idea is that there is a local star system, Tau Ceti, which is about 11 light years away from Earth, um, where the astrophage has not taken hold. So Ryan Gosling and his crew are dispatched there in a sort of long shot, a Hail Mary, if you will,
Oh.
to find out what's going on and if there's something about the supposed immunity of this star that can be replicated and brought back to Earth in time to like stop us all from dying of cold,
Hmm.
and and does so, and in the process of doing so, encounters another alien who is played by an animatronic puppet, who he sort of manages to initiate communication with, and it becomes a kind of buddy comedy in deep space as they kind of suss out this problem of how to um, immunize themselves against the astrophage. And it's an interesting one. So if you're familiar with Andy Weir's work, I forget where do you come down on The Martian,
I
Tim?
think I've only seen the movie. I haven't read the book. I think it's solid, but I don't adore it, and I've never felt compelled to see it a second time.
Hmm, that's fair. I really liked The Martian when it was new, and I think Andy Weir, his house style, if you will, um, he is. I think he has a background in engineering, and his sort of style is very. His prose is jejune at best and kind of cringe at worst, but he does have the knack for sort of working through these quite crunchy speculative fiction problems almost as a sort of like procedural,
Hmm.
and similar to The Martian, Project Hail Mary is kind of doing the same thing, this sort of working through one problem at a time and just sort of coming up with these sort of creative ways of getting around seemingly insurmountable difficulties. Only this time it's sort of being done on a grander canvas with bigger stakes and
Okay.
more exotic physics. So that is kind of the sales pitch for the book at any rate. I think Phil Lord and Chris Miller kind of had different ideas of where they wanted to take the material from what Ridley Scott did with The
Hmm.
Martian. They kind of want it, they kind of dial back the emphasis on the problem solving elements, and what they do more of instead is kind of, it's more like Interstellar but whimsical, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Um, Ryan Gosling, I think, is impeccably well cast. I think he sells the role of this kind of hapless, goofy scientist who is nevertheless like very sort of determined and very um, driven to sort of complete his mission against impossible odds. There's really great comedic chemistry between him and
The
the
puppet.
animatronic alien,
Great.
who he calls Rocky. There's a real sort of Kermit the Frog sort of anthropomorphic charm to this character who is, uh, and it's quite lighthearted right up until the sort of point where it's not, and it actually grows. I thought surprisingly heartfelt. It
Hmm.
takes what I thought were kind of the corniest parts of the book and actually manages to sell them and actually make them quite they land. I think they sell this dynamic between these sort of two lonely figures out there in space and just having the sort of bromance. The spectacle lands. It's an odd combination of flavors. I think it is too long. It's nudging up against 2 and 3/4 hours, and I do think that the structure leaves something to be desired. It kind of hits its action climax about 2/3 of the way through, and the rest of it is more. There's a lot of denouement, and it
Hmm.
does get kind of wearying towards the sort of very final minutes when it seems to end like 3 or 4 times.
Eh.
But on the whole, I thought this was a really strong outing. I thought this was a good sort of popcorn piece of entertainment that has sort of a hard sci-fi edge, but it also has a sense of fun and whimsy. Yeah, I'm glad it seems to be doing well in this its first weekend. Long may it continue.
Yeah, cool. I will say I was already looking forward to it. Um, you have made me look forward to it more than I was. You're describing it
Good.
in a way that makes it sound very satisfying and very much what I would like for it to be. Like, again, I didn't dislike The Martian, but The Martian was a little bit more uh, adventures in
It
real
seems
science, and this sounds like
it
it's not.
seems a little on the nose to call The Martian dry.
Yeah,
But
but yeah, no, I take your
but
point.
no, this is more playing into the kind of sort of cosmic, sort of venture into the unknown as sort of personal apotheosis that we get from stuff like 2001, Interstellar, Ad
Okay.
Astra. But yeah, played more in a sort of, a more lighthearted sort of
Okay.
register.
Awesome. I look forward to it. I suspect you're probably predicting my response as well, that I'm going to bounce off that running time, especially if it's like a
Yeah,
fairly lightweight experience. But we'll see. I'm still looking forward to it.
yeah.
Ryan Gosling is one of our handful of like unabashed movie stars. So anytime we can get him.
Yes. I'm continuing to be like thrown by Ryan Gosling and how well he's able to adapt to different modes. Like this is closer to the sort of thing he was doing in The Nice Guys,
Okay.
where he's a little bit hapless and he's a little bit goofy. But I am constantly struck. Like I rewatched Drive not that long ago, and just
Mm,
how well he does the kind of statuesque like menace in that role. So yeah, he is one of our great movie stars of the 21st century.
excellent. Well, I will be very excited to see that. In the meantime, I'm bringing a very different change of pace to the roundtable. This comes to us from one of our Patreon supporters, CRD, who kind of gave me a very particular charge with this one that I was rather excited by. So CRD has been trying to convince some friends of his to sit down and watch the 2004 film Mulade, written and directed by Zembene Osmane, the great, I should have looked up which African nation, Senegalese, the great Senegalese film director. Probably, I think, the most famous sub-Saharan African filmmaker. Certainly he was in the 70s, 80s, 90s. I think he still probably is. But, so CRD has run into a problem, which is that when you try to get someone to sit down and watch Mulade, they ask you what it's about. And then you tell them what it's about. And then they don't want to watch it. And so here's what CRD wrote to me. I know the premise can be a tough bargain for most viewers, so I'm hoping that by discussing it on the pod, you might find a way I can sell it to my cinephile friends that doesn't involve bribing them with dinner. Thanks again for another great year of podcasts and reviews. It's always a joy to listen. Well, thank you for that, CRD. And I think that's definitely a worthwhile thing. In fact, if you visit my review of Mulade, which is written on our website, that's basically how I start my review of the film, is saying, look, this movie is really good. And the minute that I tell you what the premise is, you're going to be like, I don't want to watch that. But trust me, it's really good.
I just looked it up on IMDb this moment, and I see what the issue is.
So here's the plot of Mulade. In a small town, I assume it's Senegal, but I'm not actually 100% sure, but in a small African town, it's time for all of that year's girls approaching puberty to go through the purification ritual. And the purification ritual is female genital mutilation. They are going to have their clitorises, clitorodes cut out. And one of the like matriarchs of the village, a woman who herself went through this ritual, but did not put her own daughter through the ritual. They have kind of come to her to be like, can you please help us? Can you please prevent us from going through this process? So she puts these girls in her home, in the courtyard of her home, and declares that they are under the protection of a mulade, which is a type of curse is probably not the word for it. I don't know that we have an English concept for it, but basically a spell of protection that anyone who crosses the threshold of her house is at risk of causing this doom upon themselves. Like they don't want to risk finding out what happens if they make the mulade mad, basically. So it is a movie about female genital mutilation. It's a message movie about how we oughtn't to do that. And I can think of multiple reasons why this sounds terribly unappealing. The first of which is that it's awful. It's a subject matter that is horrible to contemplate, even slightly. And the second being, if you are like me, someone who takes a pretty substantial step backwards when you hear about message movies, it's like, this is going to be just a 2-hour screed about why female genital mutilation is bad. And it is bad, but I don't need to hear that for 2 hours. So it's neither of those things. And so here's where I'm going to change the format a little bit. And rather than talking about the movie, broadly speaking, because I've done that already, there's a review of it on our website. You can go read that. I'm going to address myself directly to CRD's friends. So, hi, I'm Tim. I hope you're listening to the show. I hope you're enjoying the show. So I understand that you've been asked to watch Mulade. Well, let me tell you a little bit. Yes, the subject matter is daunting. The film itself is exactly the opposite of daunting. It is one of the most uplifting, lively, fun, humane, exciting movies of the 2000s. This is the movie that made me fall in love with sub-Saharan African cinema. A love affair that continues. And it certainly didn't do that because I thought it was a slog. It certainly didn't do that because I thought it was this kind of horrible, miserable experience. On the contrary, Mulade is a film that is just dripping with life, and it takes place in this village. And the movie is not about female genital mutilation. It's not like a message movie at all. It's about how this community full of very well-described characters interacts with each other and goes about their day, and how this event, when Kole, the woman who declares the protective spell, how like the community has to wrap itself around this, because they have a rhythm, they have a way of going through life, and she's basically saying, no, we're changing that. And so how does everyone, not just her, not just the children, not just the mothers of the children, since it's one of those situations where the mothers seem to be much more anxious to make sure this process happens, not just how do the people involved respond to it from like a political position, but how does a community that is very much in a rut respond when someone says the rut's bad, so we're going to just change things. So it's really much more about, it's almost Altman-esque story, really, of how a bunch of people, not just Kole, not just the girls, how a bunch of people like all absorb this change in their lives. Some very enthusiastically, some with a great deal of horror, but it's all about just the life of this town and how that life goes on, how that life changes, how we sort of see for a great deal of time before the movie even kicks in, like, what is this town? Who are these people? So that's thing number one. It's really just I think, very invigorating human story. It's just fun to spend time with these people, to get to know who they are, to get to see what their life is like. The other thing it is, and this potentially gets us to the like exoticizing an African town thing. I don't think it is, because the movie's doing this. It is such a beautiful visually movie. It's so full of colors, and part of how Sembene presents this town, this place that the movie takes place in, is to create the sense of vitality through all of these very bold colors, which we see all throughout. Bright red costumes, blue and yellow buckets and pails and things of that nature. And the Mulade is declared by Kole, putting a cord across the entryway to her courtyard. And the cord is this kind of visual motif that occurs throughout. It's like this bright yellow and orange piece of cloth stretched across. So the movie is just bright and exciting to look at, and it really underscores, I think, how much life and vitality there is in this town. And that's part of what makes the story interesting and worth paying attention to, is that it is an organic society, and we're seeing the organic society sort of evolve around this new situation. And that really does feel like something that comes through to me visually as well as in the story, just how much life is going on here and how robust that life is. So this is a movie that I think is tremendously exciting to watch. It's not like an obligation. It's not a movie that I feel you get through it to prove that you'd get through it to prove that you're someone who cares about these issues. No, it's a movie that like nourishes me because of how much humanity is just bursting out of it in every possible way. I love it. This is now, I think, the fourth time, maybe fifth time I've seen it, thanks to CRD. So thank you, CRD, for asking me to watch this. And I hope, friends of CRD, that you've maybe been a little thought out. Again, not a slog, it's a serious movie, but it's not a hard movie. It's not a movie that wants you to learn a lesson. It's a movie that wants you to kind of bask in the just humanity of these characters. So, A+ movie. If you're one of CRD's friends, you should see it. If you're anyone else, you should see it. The only downside I have is that, as far as I'm aware, there is not currently an HD transfer of this movie available on the planet, which is a bummer. The only way to watch it in the United States, at least, is on an old DVD from New Yorker. And if you're someone who knows the distributor New Yorker, your stomach has probably just turned into an ice cube from dismay, because New Yorker kind of notoriously has just shitty looking DVDs. But if you can seek it out, it's worth seeking out. Really, really a lovely film. So, glad that I could have that opportunity to once again share my thoughts on just what a splendid experience it is to watch that. And I take it you have not seen this film, Andrew.
I have not seen Mulade, although I have to say that was a great sales pitch.
Thank you.
It actually does like put it moves up my list of one to watch because I have heard the name, and it was actually I only just now put this together when you mentioned the name Ousmane Sembene. I have actually seen one of his other films. I saw Hala from 1975.
That's not one of the ones I've
back.
seen. I need to.
That's all the way back. That was assigned text actually when I was doing a module on post-colonial literature in university, and I kind of like obviously this is like 2.5 decades earlier, so I dare say his style evolved over the years, but that did have again like it's fairly unflinching, but it does also have the kind of some of the almost magical realist elements to it. Like maybe that's the wrong word, but it did have a kind of acerbic humor that was quite accessible and made some of these sort of social issues that he's addressing quite. It made them feel quite human and approachable and quite funny in places as well. So certainly, I'm open to seeing more of Sembene's work.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely worth doing that. So yes, once again, thank you, CRD, and this is my opportunity, as I always do. Say that if you want to, like CRD, contribute to the life of the podcast, we are currently, as far as I'm aware, full up on make Tim watch something and talk about it / write about it slots, but we do still have a few other slots that allow you to get early access to classic reviews, be part of our polls, and so on and so forth. So if you're not supporting the show via Patreon, you might want to take an opportunity to think about doing that. We've recently had an upgrade. Albie Hay has upgraded to the crew head level. That gets Albie the ability to, again, hear those, read those reviews a little bit early and take part in our polls, including a poll that is going on right now, if I'm not mistaken, as this episode goes live, for the next Bride of Alternate Ending, where Brennan and I are going to be selecting a movie about a horror movie about what happens when a honeymoon goes wrong, essentially. So if you want to be part of that poll, keep an eye out for right now. It's on the Patreon. Otherwise, I think we can probably just dive right into our preview if you're ready for that.
Yeah, let's bring it on. See what's with what coming in April.
See what's going on. So again, these are the North American releases. Some of them are certainly global day and date releases, and I think the first film on the list is probably one of those. It's one of the big tentpoles, not just of April, but really of 2026 overall.
Have to imagine.
Yeah, and that would be the Super Mario Galaxy movie, the sequel to was it the Super Mario movie or the Super Mario Brothers movie? I've drawn them.
You know what? I don't remember. I thought of it as the Mario movie. I don't know. It's one of these things where like the official branding is kind of difficult to nail down.
It is, and I just thought of it as that fucking thing. So I don't really recall the title at all.
I had the same feeling about it at the time. I have weirdly enough seen the original Mario Brothers movie, despite being behind on new releases. But
yeah,
it was. I cannot muster up a great deal of enthusiasm for this.
You know, I feel like on the one hand, part of me wants to assume, well, the first movie got it's like when you're doing the first adaptation of an IP. We saw this with like the X-Men. We saw this with a lot of superheroes. The first movie is about, will this work in a movie? Let's get the ground rules done. And then the second movie, you're like, let's play with it. Let's actually tell a story. And I'd like to believe that might happen here, but then I look at the trailer and I am confident it will not.
Yeah. So here's my thing, because Tim, I know from sort of over the years you were a Nintendo guy.
I'm a Nintendo guy. I remain a Nintendo guy. I'm currently a Nintendo guy.
Yeah. So I was not. Like I've owned Nintendo consoles since childhood, but I wasn't like I was weaned on the PlayStation.
Okay.
That was like that's what we do over in Europe. So like Mario was never really. It's not a brand that really holds much nostalgia for me. And every time I come to, I mean, I dare say the games are well designed, but every time I come to the aesthetics in the movie, it seemed like this is such a mishmash. Like, what is the aesthetic of the Mario Brothers universe? Like, it just seems like such a grab bag of random nonsense. Like, if you're coming to this as a narrative front object, like, what what am I supposed to be grabbing
Yeah, I
onto here?
totally see that because I think of the most recent like major game in the series, which is Super Mario Odyssey, where kind of the gimmick is like it's Mario, but there's photorealistic backgrounds, and like that weirdness is cool when it's the like 18th Mario game. But in terms of like how are we going to make a movie about this, the answer is you aren't, right?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly that. Like you've got dragons and toadstool people and kart racing over rainbows. It's like if that was a pitch in a vacuum, like what the hell is that?
and I think this is part of the problem I had with the first movie, and it's what I'm going to have with the second movie. You can't adapt the Mario universe; you have to adapt a slice of it. And they in the
Hmm.
first movie they tried to adapt the whole universe because, like you said, there's carts involved, and there shouldn't be carts in a Mario Brothers
Yeah.
movie. This one they're adapting a specific game called Super Mario Galaxy, which I actually really love. The two Mario Galaxy games are two of my favorites. But they're also bringing in elements of other games that don't belong there, and this isn't going to mean anything to you, but it's going to mean something to some people. They're bringing in the bad guys from Super Mario Brothers 2, the USA version of Super Mario Brothers 2, and it's like those people exist
Oh.
in a dream universe. They are clearly. I'm upset. I have thoughts that I shouldn't because I'm a 44-year-old man and I it's not for me. But it's become such a like repository of nostalgic bits
Yeah.
at the expense of having a story, right? And that's really
Yeah, it's
what grinds my gears is like I don't mind I do mind Easter eggs. I won't even say I don't mind Easter eggs. I don't hate them if they are like the flavoring. But when they are the
yeah,
meal,
agreed.
no. And that's true for real Easter eggs just as much as in movies.
Yeah, I guess this will be coming up just in the run up to Easter. But yeah, I'm with you there. It feels like part of this very IP driven
Mm-hmm.
like contemporary environment where all of these it's the same thing that leads us to get these sort of brawler type games where Arya Stark is able to fight Bugs Bunny. You
Mm-hmm.
know, just all these things completely divested from any kind of context. And I don't know, I feel no desire to contribute to that. And but the first Mario made $1.3 billion, and uh, all the sample size I have for anyone under the age of 18 are like my two young cousins, and apparently they both loved it. So I can't tell them how to groove. So I dare
Mm-hmm.
say this will make $1 billion
Oh,
again.
I mean that's sort of the thing. Illumination films make $1 billion even though they blow. So
Yeah,
cool.
and
Neat.
no, like, who still talks about Despicable Me 3 despite it being what like the 20th highest grossing film of all time or
Something
something?
like that, yeah. I don't know. I'll see it. I doubt I'll see it in theaters because I see nothing in theaters these days, and this would be a real embarrassing thing to get me back out
Mm,
when like the new Sam Raimi film didn't, but who can say? So
that's for
that's
sure.
probably a big old no from both of us. But let's move on. So that's opening on Wednesday, the 1st of April. The following Friday, which is the traditional opening date, we do have one wide release. It is a kind of it's one of A24's like big plays for the first third of the year.
Hmm.
It's because it's not the first quarter anymore, but it's like one of the big A24 films that they're hoping to trigger some buzz with. And it is called The Drama. And it is about
Yes.
Zendaya and Robert Pattinson as an engaged couple who encounter some carefully not disclosed in the ad campaign problems that might call into question whether their relationship will survive the drama. And
Okay.
I don't know.
So my first encounter with this ad campaign was just working through the list of wide releases that you dropped
Oh, sure.
in the Google Doc, Tim. I have to say I'm kind of into this pitch. So this is from what's the director's
I did
name? I
not
think it's a
recognize
Norwegian
his
guy.
name. He sounds Norwegian. It's Christopher Borgli.
Ah, yes. So this is the same guy who directed, I think, Dream Scenario with Nicolas Cage from a couple of years
Oh,
back.
yes, I do remember that movie. I
Yeah.
didn't see it, but I
And
remember it.
so my understanding is that he's quite close protege with Ari Aster. And I know
Ah,
Aster's name is kind of dirt at the moment after the wake of Eddington. I remain sort of like one of the big boosters of Beau is Afraid.
I still haven't
And
seen it.
fair. And I suspect you would hate it. Like that seems to be sort of the way the wind. Like, I think I'm on the wrong side of history with that film. But the drama from what I was seeing in the trailer, was kind of playing on the same sort of blackly comic sort of social anxiety horror that Beau is Afraid was. I thought did so emphatically. This idea that if you sort of reveal the whole of yourself to the people in your life, and the anxiety that actually, yes, it is as bad, and they will have
Hmm.
the reaction that you fear they will. Yeah, that's sort of a premise that I quite respond to, and the sort of just queasy, sort of gut churning feeling from some of these beats in the trailer about how these people really do they actually know each other as well as they think they
Hmm.
do. And I think Pattinson and Zendaya, like I'm always kind of down to see Pattinson whatever he does. Honestly, I think he's like similar to Gosling. He's kind of one of these movie stars at the moment who can kind of adapt himself to any milieu. Um, Zendaya, I still think Zendaya's kind of. I've never been entirely 100% sold on her, except maybe as Chani, where she does what's required of the script.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I'm kind of buying what this is selling at this point. So this might be my number one for this month.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I'm curious about it for sure. I do trust Pattinson. I don't trust A24 at this point.
Yeah,
I feel like whatever goodwill A24 had for me at least has been completely overtaken by Neon. And A24 seems a little bit too eager to like get social media buzz and not to necessarily have good movies.
yeah, I can see that. I mean, certainly as their brand has grown, it has started to feel more calculated on A24's part. I would say probably the tipping point was everything, everywhere, all at once
Mm.
after it got all its Oscar attention. So I think there is something more calculated about their films than
Yeah.
perhaps there used to be.
Yeah, and we'll
But
see.
yeah,
I'm curious. I'm definitely curious. It's probably not a rush out and see it in theaters for me, but it is definitely a keep in mind and keep my ear under the ground to hear what my letterboxed mutuals think about it,
for sure.
including you potentially. So we shall. Although you'll be in a tent, so you
So
won't be able to watch movies.
I might might not be in a tent by then,
Okay,
but
cool.
we'll see what happens.
Well, we'll see how it plays out. So skipping ahead, that's the only wide release on Friday the 3rd, but let's move to Friday the 10th. There's one film that I'm sure is a wide release that feels like it's going to do well for an audience who isn't me. That is You,
Mhm.
Me, and Tuscany, directed by Kat Coiro, starring Roger Jean Page and Halle Berry. And it looks cute. It's not for me.
Yeah, no, me neither. I was wondering when I was seeing it, like I feel like I'm peering into a bit of an alternate universe here,
And
but
And as I look at this, Kat Coiro is someone who has almost exclusively directed television, with the exception of the 2022 romantic comedy "Marry Me," which feels like it killed off whatever remaining
okay,
interest I had.
not not auspicious.
No,
So yeah, I don't think I'm particularly sold on
and
Yumi and Tuscany.
then the other film, it's on both of the lists that I use. Claim it's going to be a wide release. I don't know if I believe that because it's IFC. IFC doesn't really do wide releases, but it's a remake of Faces of Death. And
Yeah, I
even if I don't know if it's going to come out, I want to talk about it because I find it weird that it exists.
Yeah, I had the same reaction. Like, what is this? Because I've not seen the original Faces of Death, but I remember reading your review of it in the Video Nasties
Yeah.
back in the day.
So
Yeah,
so Faces of
and
Death,
it's
for those who don't know, it's basically a compilation video of some archival and some invented footage. And it's basically the exploitation film version of the videos you watch in driver's ed to make you afraid to drive fast, where it's like people
oh
did
yeah,
this and died. And Faces of Death, because it's like a tacky exploitation film, then kind of branches out into like, and here's footage of the Holocaust. And here's completely faked footage of someone getting their arm chopped off with a machete. And it's like, it's trash. It's real trash. But like the hook of it is that it is it's a montage of ostensibly real footage, and this is a movie, and I don't know why you would call it that.
that's that is such a weird thing to exist. And my understanding is this new version is a sort of postmodern kind of like almost meta take on the concept
I think
where
it's like she watches the Faces of Death video or like a Faces of Death video, and like it like the Ring's her or something.
Yeah, something like that. Like there's some sort of like copycat killer going out in the loose. I don't know. I find the whole thing very difficult to parse. This is why I find it a little bit hard to believe that this is a wide release because this seems like such a niche, like esoteric
It
object to put out
really
into the world.
does. I'm curious about it in a way I have been not curious about either any of the three films we talked about though. So I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe I'll see what the buzz is.
Yeah. But that does wrap up. Again, not a lot of movies coming out this month of April, so we can skip right ahead to April 17th, where we do have four wide releases, and I'm actually fairly confident these are all four wide releases. And I will let you choose which one we talk about first, because I've been kind of driving this train, but I'll let you
No
tell me.
worries. So I of the three that we've got highlighted, actually, yeah, four. I'm still not sure what Four Kids Walk Into a Bank is. That doesn't seem to have a trailer out in the wild.
I'm
Um,
not 100% sure it's going to exist. It's a Liam Neeson action movie. Those are kind of a very reliably this exact experience, neither better nor worse type thing. So I mean, it'll be fun, I'm sure.
yeah. So I am curious about Lee Cronin's The Mummy because something that
Yeah.
becomes very clear once you watch once you expose yourself to the marketing for this film.
Expose yourself is the right way to
This
describe it.
okay, so this is not a mummy movie. This is an Evil Dead movie wearing mummy drag.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, Lee Cronin, like obviously he was behind Evil Dead Rise
Mm-hmm.
a few years back, a film that seems to have kind of been kind of swept under the rug by history. I feel like, which I think is a shame because I thought Evil Dead Rise was kind of a blast, and bringing that same sensibility to this story, which seems to entail um, these two parents of a kidnapped child who's been um, just found alive in scare quotes after 8 years chained up in some kidnapper's basement.
Mm-hmm.
And as it turns out, she's well, we're gonna say mummy, but like it's pretty clear she's a deadite.
Right.
Um, and yeah, it's playing into that kind of body horror, like the kind of upsetting sense of like a loved one coming back wrong, and all these sort of very skin peeling close ups of like oozing sores
Mm-hmm.
and like clawed and gnarled hands, and yeah, playing into that kind of grody, over the top, very Sam Raimi coded kind of horror. And I don't know, this is speaking my language. I'm into this kind of pageantry. I don't know where you land on it.
I'm certainly curious about it. I think for many of the reasons you've just said, like it feels like it wants to bring the Mummy as a brand name. And it actually occurred to me, I didn't even check to see what studio is releasing this. I just kind of took for granted that it's still Universal, but that's probably worth double checking. It's
Good point.
Warner's. It's Warner's. Interesting, because the Mummy is not a copyrightable phrase apparently. It's the
I'm
first.
just curious.
It's the first film titled The Mummy, or sort of titled The Mummy, and we'll circle back to that. In a very, very long time, that is not trying to be a swashbuckling action adventure film. And I am
Yeah.
excited for a Mummy film that is all in on horror, which we haven't really had at all since like Hammer was making their Mummy films in the 70s. And arguably we've never had it done well, because like you go back to the Universal films in the 40s and they're not like good
Yeah.
horror movies. They're what they are. I mean, they're all but the first one were like cheap B movies for matinees. So the idea of like a hard to watch body horror Mummy gets my attention for sure.
100%. And that's the thing. The Mummy was never like a huge brand. And I do wonder about this because isn't Universal still trying to get some version of the Dark Universe
I
up into
I feel like the
up and running?
current version of the Dark Universe is the like they're trying to see if they can make that Invisible Man into something. I kind of feel is where they're at with Dark Universe, because that's the first thing they had that like
Seems like it.
more or less clicked. Because obviously their anointed Dark Universe, the Mummy, just completely blew up on impact or blew up on takeoff. So I don't know if Dark Universe is still an actively in development thing or not. but yeah, we shall see. This is certainly bound to be better than the last film titled The Mummy, that Tom
Oh,
Cruise thing.
like for sure. Like I still kind of can't believe how bad that was.
It was just
And I'm
such a
I'm not even a
useless.
fan of the Stephen Sommers mummy films, but like that's they're still head and shoulders
Like
above the Tom Cruise
they're
thing.
still movies, and the Tom Cruise thing is just so weirdly. It's Iron Man 2 without Iron Man 1, and it's
Yes, that's
awful.
exactly it.
I will say, and I get that it's probably a legal thing, sort of like how we had Lee Daniels the Butler. Lee
Yeah.
Cronin's The Mummy seems to be banking on the idea that Lee Cronin is a more important figure with a more memorable name than I believe to be true. And
Yeah, I what is it about directors named Lee?
yeah, I hadn't even really quite thought about that, but yeah, they are both Lee. And I will say, I didn't dislike Evil Dead Rise. It didn't really particularly strike my fancy. I thought it was much better than the
2013 version?
2013 one, the one by Fede Alvarez, who I
Hmm.
very much believe to be an
Great.
emperor with no clothes on. But I I liked it well enough that I hope that Lee Cronin can keep whatever he's got going, and I think I'm optimistic with a big old question mark. Also, I feel like we need to treasure these last handful of Warner Brothers films that are maybe going to be doing something interesting and risky, because we're very shortly not going to get them anymore. And
Oh God, yeah. Like
Warner's to me has always been the company that like you can rely on for that, but not
yeah,
anymore.
like for all that they've made a lot of bad decisions and just had some really profoundly rotten luck over the years. But like as of this recording, I can't even remember. Is it like Paramount or Netflix that have sealed the deal?
No
In
one
the
has sealed the deal as of this recording. The winds were behind Paramount, but it feels like the winds are
it's
slowing
less secure than it
down,
was.
but they're not.
Yeah.
I'd say if any one company is going to come out on top, I would still say it's probably Paramount, but it doesn't feel like it's a done deal the way that it did like at the start of March. So I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So like these things like they're always in arbitration for years.
Oh yeah,
So like we can just keep watching the headlines between parted fingers.
for sure, for sure. But so that's I think of all the wide releases, that might actually be the one that I am most optimistic about.
Hmm.
We'll see. I mean, that's as much to do with anything because of the other films. We kind of touched on also this week, April 17th, Four Kids Walk Into a Bank. But the one that I was sort of not curious about, but certainly thrown by, is this film called Mother Mary.
Yeah. So this is the new David Lowery joint.
That's what throws me, because like I read the plot summary and I look at the footage and I'm like, this feels. It doesn't feel like a David Lowery film whatsoever to me, I guess is where I'm at.
I don't know. Like my sole point of reference for David Lowery, I think, is the Green Knight, which I know that you were not a fan of at all. Am I right in saying?
No, I wouldn't say at all. There were elements of it I liked. Unfortunately, none of them were the narrative progression.
Ah, yeah. Okay, that's fair. So I am. I wouldn't say I have any particularly strong feelings about Lowry one way or the other. I was taken by some of the imagery in the trailer. It's giving me the Neon Demon kind of
I
vibes.
mean, it's kind of that vibe, which I guess is what's throwing me, because I think of David Lowery as his thing is like he was one of the big I Want to Be Terrence Malick kids, and
Mm.
then Chloe
Hmm.
Zhao kind of took that. I think is like she's like the main one now who's like Terrence Malick, but not. I also feel like every single David Lowery film I liked less than the one that came out prior to it. But he did
Oh,
make the live action Pete's Dragon. They're both kind of live action. He made the remake of Pete's Dragon that I think is like head and shoulders the best of the Disney remake cycle from the last 15 years. So on the one hand, I kind of root for him. On the other hand, it's like I increasingly don't like his movies, so I don't root for him very hard. But it feels like he is someone whose films are more invested in a kind of mysticism than is remotely appearing to me. Which to me raises the question, is Mother Mary going to be that and they're hiding it, or is it that David Lowery is trying to make a big change that I don't know that I feel he's capable of making?
yeah. I don't know. Maybe, like as I say, it feels like he's sort of going off in this kind of almost provocateur, winding refin maybe Darren Aronofsky kind of direction with this kind of psychodrama set against the backdrop of
Hmm.
like the fashion and pop industry. Um, I think I think it's Anne Hathaway and Charlie XCX are the main figures.
I mean, Anne
Um,
Hathaway's certainly the lead. I think Michaela Cole is the
Michaela Cole,
like
I
the
beg
next
your
most
pardon. I
important
saw,
character. Yeah,
yeah.
I think Charlie
Um,
XCX did the music or something.
oh, that'd be it. Yeah. I didn't recognize either name, but the thing that sort of I feel like this sort of haute couture, this sort of environment of sort of glitz and glam, and the sort of like backstage backstabbing that goes on behind it, like that is sort of like I like Black Swan, I like the Neon Demon, I like stuff like that.
Hmm.
So I am at least curious, even if I'm not. I don't know. I think this could be one that gets me in the door again if I have the opportunity to see this in a theater.
Yeah, I'll see it for sure. Again, is it a theater film? I don't quite know. I'll see what people say. I guess for me, like, I agree with everything you're saying, and then I go one step further to say I just don't know if David Lowery has a track record of being able to direct
Hmm.
psychology. Like, he to me is a person who makes mood pieces. And this is
Yeah,
and it could be this is a mood piece. Like it's hard to tell from the trailer, but it does feel like it wants to have some complicated character psychology, and I don't know if I think he can do that. But we'll see.
possibly. Yeah. So we'll see where it lands. It's hard to gauge
Yep.
just on those merits. What I'm much less ambivalent about is this the other wide release from this week,
Yes.
which is Normal.
Normal. Tell us about
So
Normal.
this is not doing anything for me. So this is Bob Odenkirk is playing a sheriff in a small town, which erupts into violence one night in rural Minnesota. This is very clearly banking on the Nobody franchise. This is like a Nobody
Down
movie
to
with
being a
the
one-word title that starts with N-O.
yeah, which is like that's a really weird niche to be shoehorned into. You'd
Mm-hmm.
think like after Better Call Saul, Odenkirk should be doing more diverse stuff than this.
I mean,
Uh,
I don't know. I don't get it.
what is curious to me in a sort of perverse way is that it's Ben Wheatley directing.
Uh,
That's I'm really not. I am
I
not sold on the turn his career's taken
I
since like the
feel
2010s.
like I still have this lingering like spike of enthusiasm when I see Ben Wheatley's
Hmm.
name, and then I remind myself this is not. I mean, it is the Ben Wheatley who made A Field in England and Kill List and Sightseers, but more pertinently, it's the Ben Wheatley who made the Netflix remake of Rebecca and Meg 2: The Trench.
Oh God,
So
yeah, Meg two.
I
Oh,
gotta
Meg two, the
remind myself.
trench. I'd forgotten about that.
Oh, I
I
try to, but
I saw that. I wiped that from my memory. Thanks for that.
oh, you're welcome. But I just get like
So
I'm so mad. This is where Ben Wheatley is now.
yeah, yeah, that's unfortunate. I I'm kind of curious about this film he made last year, Bulk, which seems to be kind of difficult to track down, but I've had it on my radar, which actually does look like a sort of weird, interesting, unique object, even if it doesn't seem
Yeah,
to have made
it it
much in the way of
it
waves.
feels that it has not yet released outside of the festival circuit. Is I
That's
think what I'm seeing.
probably it. Yeah. So if Normal gets some traction, maybe that helps get Bulk out the door. So
Fingers
um,
crossed.
I don't know. Maybe that's the silver lining.
Yeah, so no, I in a weird way, even though I have no hope for Normal, it is the one I'm rooting for to be better than I think that it is, because again, Ben Wheatley's name for so long just felt like a name to conjure
Absolutely.
with to me, and now it's like really not, and I'm still bummed out because I really like those first few films a lot,
Yeah.
like
The thing
basically
is,
everything through A Field in England.
yeah. Kill List might be one of my favorite horror films of the 21st
It's
century. That
so great. It's definitely his best film, I think.
I would yeah I would say so. The thing is like this is an action movie, and his one sort of real prior action credit is Free Fire, which didn't really. I don't think that really worked for me
It did
in
not.
terms of the design. No.
I agree. I think honestly, Free Fire might be the point where it pivoted from, because I think High Rise came out before that, which I didn't love, and Free Fire was the point where it felt like,
Hmm.
oh, he lost it. Because High Rise, I didn't think he'd lost it. High Rise, I was just like, this was a mistake. Free Fire's the film.
Yeah,
It's like I don't
yeah.
think he's coming back, man. and
Yeah, I
and he
think I'm
so
there
far
with you.
hasn't. So we'll see. I did like the trees that have psychic powers movie. What was that called?
Oh yeah, I
In
did
the
actually
Earth.
see
In
that.
the Earth. I did like In the Earth.
Yeah, that was okay. In fairness, I was watching that while I was utilizing some of the same substances depicted in the film, shall we say? So I'm not sure my judgment on that is available to be trusted.
I mean, I'm such a mark for good folk horror, and it's not great folk horror, but it's good folk horror. So,
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
all right. Well, that skips us ahead to the last weekend of April, the 24th, where we get two wide releases. I don't know which one. I don't think I'm excited for either one of them. I'm not even sure which one I want to start by talking about, but I guess let's start by talking about Fuse, which is
Fuse.
Fuse with a Z.
Indeed. So this is, I think the sort of hook for this one is it's from the guy who made Hell or High Water, which for the longest time I had that film in my head associated with Taylor Sheridan, but now Taylor Sheridan's become like this sort of brand name unto himself,
Uh-huh.
like marketing movies to like uh, just yeah, people who think windmills are causing like 5G cancer or something.
Yeah, I mean,
And Fuse, so I think it is directed from like
it is David Mackenzie.
Taylor Sheridan has nothing to do with it.
Nothing to
It's
do with it,
David
no.
Mackenzie. So I'm curious to see what he does like on his own merits because I did like Hell or High Water quite a bit.
I liked Hell or High Water. It was 10 years ago, though. And,
That's true.
yeah.
So the hook for this I think is like there's been this old World War II bomb discovered in the middle of London, and there's a crew of robbers who have used it as a cover to sort of plot a bank heist. Stars, I think, Sam Worthington and Aaron Taylor Johnson and
It's
the
Aaron
the
Taylor Johnson, Sam Worthington, and Theo James, which is sort of like a holy
like
trinity of people that I don't like looking at their faces.
that's like that feels like a police lineup of like white guys that
It
might have.
feels like a puzzle where you're trying to figure out which one of them is which.
But so like it's not hooking me. It could be good. It looks professional and like a competently put together thriller
Yeah.
from what I was seeing. But we have plenty of those these days, so it's not like got much of a USP that's getting me in the door.
I will say the female lead in this film is Gugu Mbatha-Raw, who not everything she's done has been good, but like I root for her very hard because when she's good, she's like really great in things. So I'm hoping A, that there's like a part here and it's not just the woman. Although
Yeah,
my
yeah,
impression is
hopefully.
that she might just be the woman. But
Yeah. There's always that role in sort of movies like these where it's like the lone sort of like Interpol agent. It
mhm,
always seems to be Interpol, like
it really does.
the one who's got a cork board in their apartment, like
Yeah.
with one of the male leads
Yeah.
face at the top.
No, so like I would like I don't think she's going to get me in the door, but she's at least going to be the like if I have to deal with the just waiting pool full of vanilla pudding that are ATJ, Theo James, and Sam Worthington, at least I'll have her to be like a human presence that I'll respond to,
Yeah,
is my hope. We'll see.
100%. So yeah, I don't know, worth a look. I never write anything off completely,
Yeah,
but
of course. And that gets us to the other big film, and probably, I'd say, the second biggest film of the month overall, at least
oh,
from commercial
I take back
standpoint.
what I just said.
Wait, what did you just say?
I take back the part where I said that I'll give everything a fair shot.
Oh, because Michael, the
Michael, yeah.
the Michael Jackson story, starring
So
some. In what relationship is Jafar Jackson? Is he Michael's nephew?
oh, good question. Actually, I didn't
I've just
check
looked it
that
up. He is Michael Jackson's nephew. Yes, he is Jermaine Jackson's son.
with you. Okay,
Okay.
so
So yeah,
one
so
of the Jackson files.
so
Yeah.
a Jackson scion playing his uncle Michael in a film all about how there's nothing about Michael Jackson's legacy that is not 100% positive, and we don't have to grapple with it. Let's just enjoy his music. Hooray! The end.
Yeah, so like it really takes like in the year of our Lord 2026 with the I'm trying to think of how best to phrase this so as not to open the podcast up to accusations of slander.
it
Like in the
feels.
year of our Lord 2026, where like accusations against public figures are being slung around left and right, is this really the year that we want to be doing a hagiography of Michael
I mean,
Jackson?
here's the thing. This is so the vibes I get are so intense Bohemian Rhapsody vibes where it feels like
Yeah,
this is specifically about the thing you just said. It feels like this is a we are attempting to control the legacy of this character by making a very particularly like manicured life story.
yeah,
And as far as that goes, I find something to be even more like distasteful about Bohemian Rhapsody being how the surviving members of Queen have like bullied Freddie Mercury into apologizing them for being gay than I'm getting from
yeah.
this movie, which is basically just like a whitewashed, as it were, version of Michael Jackson's life. But like it feels like the same thing. Like it feels like it doesn't feel like a movie. It feels like a PR release,
It does.
a press
Like,
release.
and even like that notwithstanding, like the footage that we're getting in the trailer, like none of that is encouraging to me. Like, I'm not buying Jafar Jackson's
No.
performance. Like all the dialogue, like the dad being, "You want to grow up working in a steel mill," all that.
Hmm.
It's the most sort of boilerplate, homogenous sort of musician biopic
And
imaginable.
and
Like
it's
everything this is putting off.
and it comes to us from director Antoine Fuqua and director John Logan, uh, both of whom I think it would be fair to call inconsistent. I think Logan has probably
Yeah,
hit a few more times for me than Fuqua
I
has,
think
but neither one of them
I've
hit
seen
all
maybe
that often.
two. Yeah, I've seen maybe two-thirds of one film that I've liked from Antoine Fuqua.
I'm,
Um,
I'm curious which
I
two
liked
thirds
I
that
liked Training.
was.
Okay, I liked Training Day back in the day, and I liked maybe about a third of the Replacement Killers. So let's say four thirds. Let's bump up to four thirds of films that I liked from Antoine Fuqua.
Okay. I'm pretty confident he made all three Equalizers, and I liked the first one of those.
I didn't.
Okay.
So we'll just have to leave that there. That's fine.
I'm as I'm glancing over his filmography, I think that's the because I don't particularly like Training Day, so I might have been giving Antoine Fuqua a bit more benefit of the doubt when I called him inconsistent. Inconsistent, I
Fair,
think,
fair.
is John Logan. John Logan has gotten us both Skyfall and Star Trek Nemesis, so he's just all over the damn place. But
Yeah, yeah.
oh, and
But
Sinbad: Legend of the Seven Seas, that was a John Logan. Well, goddamn.
well, okay. Well, yeah, that's all over the map.
Yeah.
Damn.
So I will not be seeing this film unless it gets Oscar nominations. I can just flat out say that. This looks
Yeah.
unappealing to me. I don't have any really particular relationship, pro or con, with the music of Michael Jackson anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't care, and the whole project seems distasteful.
Yeah, I agree. This is like I mean I do like plenty of Michael Jackson's hits over the years. I mean whatever else may be true, I think it is simply true that he could sing a damn good pop song.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, everything other than that, like from my point of view, like I don't think boycott is too strong a word. Like I think this is something that like should not be seen in my view.
That feels fair to me.
But
Uh, well, that does it for the
yeah,
wide releases. Oh, were you going to say something?
no, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that does it for the wide releases, but as is tradition, we are going to each adopt a limited release that we want to talk about. And you know what? There's only two of us. I think we got through this relatively quickly. So if you want to have two limited releases, I'll let you have two because I think I want to.
Right.
So
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a couple that stick out to me. One is this one sort of threw me for a loop. On April 3rd, we have the limited release, The Stranger, which is a French movie. This is an adaptation of the Camus novel from
hmm
1942. And I'm just like, how do you do that? Like, I don't know. Have you read The Stranger?
I have read The Stranger. It is the only book that I have read to any significant extent. I didn't finish it. The only book that I have read to any significant extent in French.
Oh, wow. Okay,
So
fair enough. So
I finished
did
it in
read it
English.
translated.
I finished it in
There,
English,
there you go.
but I read like
No,
two
that's
whole
it.
chapters of it in French.
That's fine.
And
So,
then after
like,
the third week of getting through that, I was like, "Fuck this! I'm just gonna read it in English."
Yeah, so I had a big Camus kick a few years ago. I've read most of his novels translated into English, and yeah, like I'm not sure quite how you make like The Plague makes sense to make as a movie.
Mm.
That's and it has been made as a movie. The Stranger, like it's about 100 pages long and one thing happens in it. So like this is a 2 hour feature. And so like how exactly are they going to dramatize this this very interior focused philosophical work that's only loosely a piece of fiction about, a man finding meaning in an absurd universe.
You know,
And it seems to be like very black and white and very French and very slow and very tasteful. So let's see
every word you
how
just
that goes.
used is a check. This is actually the film that I wanted to talk about. This is the film I'm most excited about for the
Oh,
entire month.
interesting. Okay.
It is directed by Francois Ozon, who is not a filmmaker that I know as well as I ought to, but he certainly is like a major name in contemporary French art cinema. So like I'm curious. Again, I'm mostly curious to see what is this project going to possibly be. It is, I'll point out, the second major adaptation of The Stranger. There was also a film in 1967 directed by Luchino Visconti. And
I didn't know that. I don't know why I didn't know that.
I haven't seen The Visconti Stranger. It's probably the Visconti film that I most want to see that I haven't seen. So I will almost certainly be making that happen in the very near future, so I can be prepped for the Ozon Stranger.
That could be a good double bill. Maybe that's one for us to.
It could be a terrible double bill. We'll just have to
Could be
see.
a terrible double bill. I don't know. Maybe that's one I'll bring to the book club one of these days.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. What else have we got out there? I just saw that I Swear seems to be scheduled for the
Yes.
24th, which I just mentioned because that came out here in the UK like forever ago. That was back in like I think that was back in like September, October last year.
Right.
It seemed to have been quite well received at the time.
Well, it won a BAFTA award that caused some stir,
Yeah, so
as it were. I don't know if we need to relitigate any of that, but
bit of the legacy. So it is one of those sort of like to a certain extent, I am kind of receptive to films that have a bit of a noble social purpose. Like even if I don't particularly want to watch them, it is. I guess it has sort of raised a bit of like cognizance of what Tourette's syndrome actually entails. So like I can't begrudge it that too much. I haven't got around to seeing it. It looks kind of middlebrow and safe and sort of like inspiring story of a young man overcomes his disability. But like I've had people whose opinions I trust say it's like a good version of that story.
okay.
So maybe I'll catch up with it on Netflix ahead of the theatrical release over in the States.
Because I mean, I hope that's the case. I know it got received well. To me, I look at this and I'm like, it looks a little like, again, messagey is not my favorite mode of movies, as we talked about when I was talking about Mulate. And this is a message movie from the director of Waking Ned and My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2.
Okay, that's not auspicious.
Who has indeed directed nothing since My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2. And these are not good augurs to me. He also directed the first Nanny McPhee.
Okay, that scans as sort of a Adam McKay-esque pivot.
It feels to me like we'll just have to see. It feels like this is not going to be the best case scenario version of itself.
No, I wouldn't. I probably wouldn't have thought so. But like, it's not an alternate ending coded.
It sure
coded
is
film,
not.
shall we say?
It sure is not. But that does give me an opportunity to talk about the other film that I am very curious about. Pretty obviously so, if you know my taste in directors. Steven Soderbergh has a new film coming out. It's called The Christophers. And it stars Ian McKellen. It's some people are trying to forge like some work to create like a nest egg for themselves after their father dies. And the father's played by Ian McKellen. And so it's Steven Soderbergh directing Ian McKellen, and I simply don't need anything else beyond that to be at least curious to see where this is going. That being said, Soderbergh has been in a not great place for me lately, so I'm not like thrilled about it, but I'm certainly curious.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, where did you come down on Black Bag? Because I liked Black Bag quite a bit.
I haven't gotten around to it yet. I really disliked the presence a great deal, so I kind of didn't prioritize Black Bag, but I'm hoping to see it soon.
Oh yeah, like I wasn't wild about Presence, but I think Steven Soderbergh always like sets himself interesting tasks.
Yes.
I feel like he's always pushing the boat out a bit, and even when they don't necessarily land.
Hmm.
But I think like I certainly what was it? No Sudden Move. I remember liking that one quite a bit. That was not that long ago.
I'm torn on that movie because I liked it quite a bit with one specific problem, and it's such a like narrow problem. But it really annoyed the hell out of me was that the entire movie was shot on wide angle lenses, and I found
Agreed.
it really gross. So
It is distracting to look at whenever the camera pans left or right.
yes. So again, I think Soderbergh is in a very experimental stage of his career, and I don't begrudge him that. I hope this one is a little bit more of a crowd pleaser, and again, it's Soderbergh working with McKellen. That feels like a good sign to me. We'll just have to see.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, like I actually didn't clock that this was Soderbergh on first pass. So yeah, now I'm more interested than I was 5 minutes ago.
Well, good. That's my target.
Good.
Cool. Well, I think that probably gets us to the end of our show. Thank you for joining me, Andrew. And before we go, any exciting, other than your long trip, while we're waiting for you to get back from your hike, where can we find you on the internet?
So Letterboxd is probably the first port of call for you to find me. So you can find me there, Andrew Milne. You can find it in the show notes, I dare say. And usually I'm receptive to comments or any feedback on my reviews. I'm usually pretty active there. So yeah, just head over to Letterboxd and look me up.
Excellent. Sounds good. Well, safe travels. I look forward to hearing how your trip went.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited for it.
And meanwhile, I'm Tim Brayton. I run this website. I run this podcast. I'm also on Letterboxd. Thank you to Andrew for joining me. Thank you to all of our Patreons for supporting the show. And thanks to all of you for listening. We will be back on next Tuesday with an episode of Your Movie Rocks, starring our own Mandy Albert. And I will be guest starring on that episode of Your Movie Rocks. So it's going to be a pretty good time. Sure, check it out.
Marvelous. It's been a minute.
It has. We will be talking about The Hottie and the Naughty. So for sure, check that one out. It was a good time.
Oh.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.